But I would say one build up that I'm not loving so far is
I read
definitely,
it. Yes.
yeah, Tiffany Stratton and the Charlotte Flair build up. And it wasn't even something that I mean, I've kind of felt like this anyway, because it's hard to say what their plan was exactly with Charlotte when she came back, because it definitely was like, okay, she's gonna have to come back as the heel, right? Because like Tiffany is not perceived that way, even if maybe internally that's how she's booked or whatever. She doesn't get that reaction from the crowd, so Charlotte has to be that way. But in a way, it feels like they're still trying to protect her or something, because we've now seen it. What was that picture that someone put together 3 or 4 times that
Yeah, I saw
Tiffany
this too.
has been in a match and afterwards Charlotte comes out, beats her up, and then points to the WrestleMania sign? It's like, how many times do we need to see that? How many times does Tiffany need to get beat up by you and like looking like a chump? Like, this is the thing, is like one of the issues that I've talked about with other feuds, especially leading up to Mania, I guess we can say specifically Gunther and Jey Uso, is the stuff that they're doing, it needs to make sense and it needs to be good for both of them, for what they're trying to accomplish with them before Mania. So like, you
Hmm.
need to make Gunther look strong and dominant, and like he's not going to get beaten, and make Jey Uso look like the underdog. Maybe he's losing matches before Mania, so his confidence is even getting worse. Why are we not doing kind of something like that with
Hmm.
Charlotte and Tiffany? Why are we making Tiffany look like a pushover to Charlotte? Why is Charlotte just sneak attacking her and do it? Like, why aren't we actually having like a back and forth with them? Or why isn't Tiffany doing something to her? It just feels, I don't know. This is just a pattern, I think, with Charlotte. Like, when Charlotte is
Can
involved
I?
in
Yeah.
a women's title match at Mania, it feels like they don't know how to build it up to get
Correct.
us excited.
I would suggest, and this, hear me out. You can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I would much rather see Charlotte and Tiffany teaming in a sense, or aligning themselves together in a sense before this, for not so that they can be best friends and say, the best woman's going to win this match. No, it's an anything that you can do, I can do better type of unity, where Charlotte is obviously the pinnacle and the, what every champion strives to be in how long she's been champion, all that nonsense. Tiffany is the next rising star in that. Why
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you have Charlotte think of her like she is right now, just like a pushover, just like nothing to be concerned with, but
Mm-hmm.
say, all right, if you believe it, like, I'm gonna do this, and then Tiffany's like, no, I'm gonna do the prettiest moonsault ever, and it's like, no, it's like their consistent one upping would be a lot more interesting than the same thing recycled week in and week out. That's just to
Well,
me.
and the thing is like, it's not even just this year that they've done this with Charlotte when she's in a match with in a women's title match at Mania. It's like always the same thing. Like, I'm better than you. I'm the greatest women's wrestler of all time. You're just the underdog, blah blah blah. It's always the same thing. And so it's like, then when they're doing this with Tiffany, and it's like, it, the underdog story, I feel, out of the even more recent matches that she's had, makes more sense in this regard, because yeah, Tiffany's been wrestling for 3-4 years at this point. Like,
Mhm.
she was called up from NXT, like, not like what, a year ago. So
Yeah.
it's like, that would make sense. But the fact that you've already done this with Rhea and whoever else Charlotte has faced in recent years, like, it just doesn't work. It just, you can't have it be against every single person that she's against, because it gets old. So I feel like it's kind of an unfortunate thing that they're doing, but obviously that's the direction that they're going, and there's not a
Mhm.
whole lot that they can do at this point. They can't change the story completely. um and I don't know, it's just kind of frustrating, because we were talking about how it was possible that this could be like the night one main event, and I'm not saying that it isn't, or that it's not a possibility, but when you have this kind of build, I don't know how that argument is solid. How can you say that this is going to be a more desirable match to watch than whatever Seth, Roman, and Punk are doing. You know, like
Mhm.
I'm not more excited about this match than I would be about that triple threat potentially. And so that's the thing that I feel like sucks, because I feel like the women do deserve to have to be competing for that main event. But when you build a story like this, why would I want to see it? You know, just unfortunate.
It's not making a case
No.
for main eventing night 1, where the other women's world championship match
Mhm.
is really doing that on the other show. So it is a weird contrast.
Well, and isn't it interesting how a lot of people, not me, but a lot of people would say that Charlotte is like the best women's wrestler of all time. She's the
No,
best
people would
women's.
say that. Yeah, that's the
But
yeah.
isn't it interesting how she missed Mania last year, but the Mania before that, the same problem with Charlotte. The title match that she was going to have had a mediocre buildup. It only became really hot in like the week or two before
The
Mania.
go home. It was the
Yeah,
go home show. I literally
yeah,
remember us having a show after being like, "Yes,
but
this
like,
is what we wanted."
yeah, and but it's like too little, too late. You know, I mean, I get that was a match that people were saying that deserved to be the night 1 main event, and of course, it ended up being the tag title match. But I can't argue against that necessarily, because, like, even if Charlotte and Rhea absolutely killed it in that match and probably put on one of the best women's matches of all time, the buildup was not there to have made it the main event. The tag title match made you want to see that in the main event, even if people maybe felt like the match didn't live up to the women's match. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just like that's just how it feels again, and it's just kind of odd when you think about it that Charlotte is the common denominator in those situations. I don't know. I'm just saying.